Welcome back to the show. I am Anna, and you're watching Anna Speaks Out. Is part 3 of my story about escaping a narcissistic abusive marriage. In part 2, I talked about how I got an emergency protective order against my husband on May 6th of this year, 2024. And now I'm going to talk about what happened right after that, which actually includes emotional and verbal abuse from another person entering my life as well. And of all the people that one might expect it to be, it was actually my younger sister. As I talked about in part 1, I had recently been at her house for a few days to escape my crazy husband, who had had a major drinking spell the night before. And I actually had not asked to go to their house. I just asked them if they happened to know anybody who might be looking for a roommate who was Christian. And they basically begged me to come to their house. So I was like, okay, I guess I will. And then a few days later, when I told them that I was deciding to leave because my husband had been agreeing to go to the counseling and had been being pretty nice and loving, seemingly, throughout the time that I was gone, and the fact that they were only able to have me there for a week anyway, according to their landlord, and I wasn't really able to find any other good place to stay after that. I wasn't able to get state benefits or anything yet for various reasons and just not having enough time. So just made sense to me overall to go back home and give it another shot and hope for the best. I explained that all to them, but then shortly afterward, I realized to my surprise that they were deciding to believe a lie that they made up, that I was using them under false pretenses and just went there just so that they could give me a ride to an appointment that I had, apparently. Also, for context regarding the conversation that you're about to see, a couple days after going back home, it was Sunday, and I was planning to go to the church that they went to, partly so that I could pick up a bag of stuff that I had accidentally left at their house. But I was having a hard time getting there due to morning sickness and not having a vehicle and taking care of my son, etc. My husband has a vehicle that he bought, and he was not wanting me to drive it that day, and not wanting me to most of the time, largely because I don't have much experience. But this church was only about a 5-minute drive away, not involving any freeways or anything like that, so I knew I could do it. But I knew that he would be mad if I did, so I didn't. But my sister was basically getting angry at me for not just taking the car anyway, and just really didn't get what it was like to live with an abusive person, I guess. And she just kept giving me a hard time, so I did eventually snap at her and say some choice words, which I quickly apologized for, by the way. But back to the fact that I had an emergency protective order. If you did not know, because this was all new to me starting May this year, but emergency protective orders, at least here in California, only last for about 5 to 7 days, and then you need to get to your local courthouse to request that it be upgraded into a temporary restraining order. So that was the mission that I had in front of me, and here is a conversation that I had with my dad and my sister requesting help in that mission, and the first thing I had realized is that I actually didn't have my wallet, as my husband had driven off and left me in the parking lot where the police were called a couple days prior, so I didn't have time to make sure that I had everything with me. So here's the conversation that I had with my sister and my dad regarding that. So it started out, hey Dad, I just realized that if you were to stop by my husband's work sometime soon and just ask him for the wallet, I'm sure that he would give it to you if you don't mind. He really can't say no. And he said, just getting off work, 12-hour day, try for tomorrow. And I said, thank you very much. And then this was the next day. Just tried calling you, Dad, to talk about getting the wallet again. I realized last night that I most likely need my ID in order to extend the restraining order, which right now ends on Monday, which was a few days away. This was Wednesday. And my sister decides to butt in and give me the number for the police department and said I would call the non-emergency police line and ask if they have time to help you retrieve your wallet in the midst of a TRO, which it wasn't even yet. And I said, seems like I would have to be able to get there to meet them, which would be a difficulty for me since I don't have a car seat because my husband also had that in his car. She suggested that I take public transportation, and she said, if this is necessary, God will make a way. And so I told her, yeah, maybe a way like my dad already offering to help yesterday. And I let her know, you're being overly micromanaging and controlling right now. It was fine and helpful when you brought it up yesterday, but now it just seems like you are trying to make me feel guilty for asking my family for help, like you have always done through the years. Because for context on that, really, as far as I can remember throughout our adult lives, she has kind of given me a hard time anytime I ask my dad for much of any type of help, as if it's even her business. Especially considering the fact that he has helped her quite a bit financially and otherwise with all her kids and everything. So it's just very annoying and frustrating to me. And I said, public transportation around here is really not the safest, and if I can keep my child and my pregnant self away from that, then that is ideal. Also, Dad, you are one of the few people who my husband has mentioned that he has admiration and respect for, and it would be just a more peaceable way of going about things than having the police show up to his work 2 days in a row, if it could be done. And here is where it really starts to get juicy, you might say, and why I said that my sister was another abuser in my life. And so she said, it seems like you are asking for help and then making demands. First of all, remember, I was never asking her for help. I was talking to my dad. And I'm also just very curious if anybody else who is watching this feels as though I was making demands as well. So please let me know. I'm very curious. And she says, it seems to me that you ask for help and then lash out to the people who you're asking help from. And here's the real kicker. This process could have been planned and put into action with more wisdom. Yeah, guys, so I guess I really should have planned better for my husband assaulting me in the parking lot in front of Big Lots and the workers coming out and deciding to call the police. I should have planned that better with everybody. And I should have planned to, make sure I had everything that was in the car that I thought I was just going to be coming back to, because I should have known that he was going to drive away and leave me there. I should have known that the police were actually going to not want to take me home because they didn't feel that it was safe to go there, so I had to be without my phone and wallet for that whole night at a neighbor's house. Should have planned better for that. How do you plan to get anywhere without a car seat? How do you plan to get help from the state without an ID? How do you plan to buy diapers and groceries with no debit card? I never had a joint bank account with my husband either, so it didn't really even matter if I had my debit card, so I never really had any money in my bank. How do you plan to get to the bank to replace your debit card with no ID, car seat, and no bus or train rides? Did you really think this through? I see you making all of these choices that put you in a bad position, and then demanding and asking us to drop everything and help you, because that's not what family's for, apparently. Getting you out of the trouble you created. It's not our responsibility. And yeah, I'm having a very visceral reaction to this right now. If the restraining order ends, you're back at square one. No shit. Maybe that's why I asked for help. Please excuse my language, but I assume you can probably understand. And the lecture continues. As you reach out to us with your problems, you are rude and lashing out. Just like the last time, we put our whole household life on hold to help you for the second time, and you turned around and went back to your husband, because that's not allowed. Apparently, I'm not allowed to be an adult and make my own decisions on these things. And spoke with profane aggressiveness towards me. Yeah, when she drove me to it with her taunting and belittling of me, I'm really actually surprised that more people don't do that more often to her. That's why I said, I'm not going to help you again. Next time, call the police and seek the state assistance I've shared with you. If you're going to ask for help, you need to be kind and thankful. I really thought I was in this conversation. not demanding, rude, condescending, and aggressive like her. And just another reminder, I was never asking her for help in this conversation. She just butt in. And so here's my response. Maybe I didn't share the details of how it happened, but he was basically assaulting me in the parking lot of Big Lots, and then he drove away and left me there after the employees called the police. While I had the police there, I was able to get a restraining order put in place, which is actually the emergency protective order. It all happened very suddenly after he had been extremely verbally abusive all day and driving erratically. You also don't have to go to a bank in order to replace a debit card. This is 2024 after all. It's very strange that you think I'm making demands. I really wish that you would get counseling and also mind your own business more often. How dare you say that I caused this trouble for myself? You really need to watch your mouth. If you hadn't noticed, I have not asked you for any help anytime recently, and I guess I won't. And then this was about 2 weeks later, May 22nd. Hey family, so the hearing that will determine whether or not the current temporary restraining order against my husband will become permanent is next Wednesday, the 29th at 9 a.m. In the possible event that it does not and actually ends, our old family friends have said that I could come and stay with them for a while. I'm wondering if one of you would be willing to drive us down there if we were to need to go. I was thinking that we could decide on a meeting spot other than my house, if so. For some silly reason, I thought my sister might be over her little hissy fit that she had a couple weeks prior. So, I thought maybe she'd be mature enough to care enough about my children and I to help us out if she could. But I was wrong. She just said, no, her husband and I won't be helping you. And then my dad, strangely enough, just put a Bible verse and nothing else. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusted in him, and I am helped. Therefore, my heart greatly rejoices, and with my song I will praise him. Psalm 28:7, great verse, but a strange response. And so I said, you and your husband, to my sister, are acting so strangely and unchristlike lately. It's rather disappointing, but unfortunately not surprising. I will keep you in prayer, and I have. I have been praying for her heart to change and for her to become a humble person at some point in her life. So that is part 3, everybody. I'm about to give birth any day, so the timing is up in the air, but thank you again so much for being here today. Since you liked the video enough to make it all the way to the end, don't forget to click the thumbs up and share it with somebody else. If you're not already, you can follow me on Instagram at AnnaSpeaksOut17 and on Facebook, where my username is Anna Charity. Also, if you would like to support what I do, you can click on the Show Your Support link with the star next to it on any of my Facebook reels. And there will be various options for financial donations beginning at, I believe, just 29 cents. Thank you again so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless.